Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Today, I'm going to be talking with my buddy Joe Lieber, who is on lockdown up in the Cleveland area. And we're going to talk about how to keep your money busy. Joe's in a situation where he sold off a bunch of rentals and then he's got money sitting in the bank and it's not staying as busy. He likes to see money in the bank account, but how do you keep your money busy? And there's a lot of different things that you need to consider with rental properties. If your money's not staying busy, then you're basically sitting stagnant. Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Always good to see you, my friend. So we've been friends for, gosh, I don't know, five, 6 years anyway, right?
Absolutely.
And so you've always been the guy that's got like a bunch of rentals, living an easier life. But I also sometimes what happens is I know you feel a little guilty, like you should be working a little harder. And sometimes you start doing some stuff only to find out like, man, I don't want to do that.
I do that all the time, man.
And we all have shiny object syndrome, or we all like think we should go play in another sandbox every once in a while. So
absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So Joe, we were talking ahead of time about what do we talk about today. And I know you've been selling off a bunch of your rentals. That's one of the first things I asked you because as the market is, it's not a down market yet, but you know, we might be at the beginning of a recession of some sort. We'll see, like nobody knows yet, but I knew you were selling off a bunch of your rentals from the last, time we talked. And I was like, how's that going? And you'd kind of said like, you know what, it's good, but I'm burning away my principal. You got this money that sits in a bank account. Of course, you're going to get hit with taxes. And then you're also, that money, you got to keep that money busy. Otherwise you're moving backwards. Right. And so I thought that'd be a good show to talk about is just like the importance of keeping your money busy. Like it's funny because a lot of real estate guys will like, here's a picture. You've seen people like, here's a picture of my bank account or whatever. And my first thought is like, that money's just sitting in the bank account doing nothing. Like that's not anything to celebrate. That's bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. We all work hard to build up something, but you can't just like take it off the table and let it sit in an account. You got to always keep it busy. And that's hard for guys like you and me to do it unless it's inside of real estate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, Mike, I've been through so many things, 22 years in this real estate investment space, really my entire adult life,
Yeah.
and, sometimes you lose your way. You forget as you're going through the journey, why we get into the business and what do I want out of the business? And really, I've had to take a hard look at those basic principles all over again as I've bobbed and weaved through this business, man.
Yeah.
And really, I have always wanted from the days of Carlton Sheets, sitting behind the boat, interviewing people in the 1990s, was cash flow, right?
Yep.
And that's what I was really after. Cash flow for a lifestyle. I'm a lifestyle guy, right?
Yep.
Since the 13th of March right now, during this whole COVID crisis, I've been at my summer home here at Catawba Island, which is a little place about an hour and a half outside of Cleveland. But I'm here. It's a yacht golf community, just hanging out, chilling, enjoying, not working. But what got me there? How did I get to this point? And really, it was the cash flow from the real estate that's allowing me to do this, right?
Yep.
And then as I took that journey over the last year and a half, selling a lot of my rentals, and my bank account got real fat, but fear started to set in. Fear did, because when the bills still come in, right? I mean, country club memberships are expensive. I like cars. Maintaining exotic cars is expensive, right?
Yep.
And I still have rentals, obviously, but when you have to dip into your savings account to pay your nut, you start to get real nervous, right?
Yep.
Because what happens when we get down the road 6, 9, 12, 24 months? If I burn that principal, I'm done, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something else. And then a whole other set of fears goes in. And I say, well, here, I'm still an active real estate investor. I'll just buy and sell houses, right? Well, that's fine. But now it creates a job, a grind.
Yeah.
Now I have to buy and sell houses. Or
Right.
before, I don't care. Rent's coming in, yada yada, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
over the last year or so, that just are the things that just I've had to revisit.
Yeah, it's like the average American is the type of person that saves up a bunch of money and then they retire. And a traditional financial planner will say, well, how much do you have in savings so far? And basically try to translate, well, how many years will you probably live? And it's like this pile of money. And like you can like visually imagine like you're going to be depleting that pile of money and hopefully it depletes right about the time you die. Right. And we're always like, what, who the hell does that? Which is
Yeah.
most people do that. Right. But you found yourself in that same situation where you're like, hey, I got a bunch of money over there, but it's not staying active. And now you're just basically, not that it's dwindling away, but that's your fear, right?
Well, it is because right at that exact time that a lot of the houses sold, the market really constricted up here in Cleveland. It started getting real hard to buy great deals.
Mm.
So although I'm an active real estate investor, I didn't want to overpay. I'm not going to chase the market up, so to speak, right?
Right, right, right.
No one going in, I'm overpaying. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm just not going to buy it. And that's all fine. You can play tough guy, but you're going to sit there and play tough guy with no, with
Yeah, your
no working
alternative is
pipeline.
money in a bank account that's not earning anything, probably, or very little, right?
Very little,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I went out here right during COVID, and I opened an E-Trade account, and I put a significant amount of money in there. Now, I want everyone to know I've never bought a stock in my entire life. This is my first time ever buying stocks. So I don't know. I don't know how to research stocks. I barely know how to buy the stocks. I don't understand what that stuff means on E-Trade, but I go out there and I bought a bunch of stocks, right? And then I'm sitting there, and I know it takes years for this to go up, whatever they tell me, but dude, the money's not moving. Like it went down a little bit. Excuse me. It went down a little bit, up a little bit, but it's not nothing, right? Like,
Yeah,
so I'm not a stock market guy at all. I'd rather
yeah,
I put that in a cash flowing real estate.
yeah. The truth is the real estate stuff, if done properly, it's kind of boring as hell. But that's the whole point, is like, just let it sit there, turns off a little bit of money here and there. It's nothing sexy, but it's generally, has some consistency, right?
And then you forget those, like I said, remember I said basic principles. You forget other reasons why, right? You
Right,
forget about the depreciation. You forget about appreciation. You
right.
forget about amortization. You forget about all the tax benefits, 1031, whatever you want to do. You forget about those things. You're so focused on cash flow. And then if something doesn't cash flow, you're pissed because, I got to put a roof on this year. It didn't cash flow. But you forgot about the depreciation for the property. You forgot about there was some appreciation. So there's
Yeah.
so many reasons, but you forget those principles sometimes.
Yep, yep. So you've been having some regrets, it sounds like, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with kind of pruning your dogs, though, right? I mean, it's one thing. You've been in this long enough. I mean, you've done so many deals. You got to kind of prune your dogs, right? If something's not working, you can get rid of it. But any kind of thoughts, like share with us some kind of lessons learned of what you're thinking now after. So how many? I guess I know you've sold hundreds of your houses over the past few years, but what have you sold? I guess over the past year and a half that. Kind of tell us a little bit more about the story, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, no problem. So in 2014, I peaked at 217 single family homes. And then at that point, that amount of doors was you either got to cut back or you got to go at least 100 plus more doors, because you'll need more leasing agents, you need more disposition team, you need more project managers.
Right.
So at that time, because I went through a period where I was just buying to buy, I would buy anything. That I decided to cut it down, right? So I went from 217 down to 125. And what I did was when I sold those, I took the cash from that and paid off the existing debt on the 125.
There you go.
So that's where it landed me. And I still at that time thought, you know what, maybe the market was so high. I'm like, maybe I should just get out of some of these. So I went and sold another 50 and wound up with about 75 doors, right? And that's where I'm at today, 75 singles. And then, but still, and it's still a lot of doors and it's awesome. And there's a lot of cash flow, but I still have leasing agents, project managers, disposition team, office staff to maintain that, right?
Yeah.
That
cost probably didn't go down at all from 125 down to.
No, it didn't. And I really didn't sell like the dogs. I was just like selling I don't know, like whatever someone called in and wanted to buy. I was like, I got a great one over there. So I sold like these great gold houses too. Whatever, I just wasn't really thinking. I thought I was going to sell them all. And then, but as you go through the journey, that's what started happening. I started seeing the cash flow not as big, and I'm going, wait a second. I'm used to maybe, taking a distribution and paying the country club or paying, I don't know, the Costco bill, whatever, right? And I'm like, well, wait, I can't do that. The cash flow's not there. I have to leave some reserves in. I'm going, oh, well, what am I going to do? Well, you didn't buy any houses because the market's so constricted. Well, go to the old bank account and you take 5,000 out, 10,000 out. You're going, wait a second. You do that a couple of times and you start getting the fear sets in, right?
Yeah,
like, well, if I do this for the next 36 months or whatever, I'm making up numbers. It could be the next 10 years for all I know, but you're going to be broke.
Yeah.
And at 41, I can't do that, man.
Yeah,
I still got to work.
It's funny too. There's just this mindset of like, what are you going to do if you're not doing what you know, right? And so, our buddy Todd Murphy, he sold off almost his entire portfolio in January, right before all this COVID stuff happened, and he looks like a genius now, But he's like, man, I can't believe how much they paid for my entire portfolio. Like, he was just like, he couldn't say no, right? Yep. And in hindsight, it didn't plan anything; it just worked out that way. But I talked to him a little while back, and he's lost. He doesn't really know what to do with himself because that was such a big part of his identity and his day-to-day life was managing that. And I know he's going to build it back up, but sometimes it's not just a financial thing. It's kind of like, it's part of your identity of who you are and how you know what to do, right?
Absolutely. It's part of your identity. That's all I really know. I mean, I'm the guy that buys passive cash flowing investments. I'm the guy that sells turnkey property. It's what I do. It's who I am, So yeah, it's definitely an identity crisis, no doubt.
Yeah. So where do you think the market is going here? I mean, here we are, time we're recording this, it's kind of entering kind of late April, I guess. Where do you think, you've been through several cycles. You've been doing this, like you said, 22 years. Every market's different, but the truth is if you thought you could sell at the top of the market right before a recession, and then you could go back and buy stuff on sale. Of course, nobody can ever plan that, but that might be a situation you're in here, is you have an opportunity to go buy back equivalent houses for cheaper than what you sold them for here in the short term. I mean, do you feel like, not that you timed that, or maybe you did, I don't know. I know you're a genius, Joe, but
thank you.
Well, I mean, where do you see the market going here? Do you think there's going to be a dip here? I know none of us know, but what do you think?
So, if you hear some of these economists and these big shots from the Mortgage Bankers Association, they say no, there's not going to be an issue. But I can just talk about personal experience. And I can talk about Cleveland, Ohio, right? Yeah. So here's what I do know. Non-QM loans are going bye-bye, right? I mean, it's subprime, right? They're not there. Big part of the market. You see FHA, VA going from 580 to 680 FICOs. You see just recently Chase wanting 20% down 700 FICO to get a loan, right? It's going to create problems in the marketplace. I personally did I don't want to call it a luxury home flip, but a nicer home flip in Cleveland. That's about a $250 to $300 price point. I have a very, very nice property in a great neighborhood, A-rated area, ranch style home, very desirable. And the market is absolutely flat, not even a showing. And it's interesting. I talked to I'm a real estate broker too. So I talked to my other real estate broker friends, and they're saying the same things. It's flat. It's completely flat. Now different price points can be different, right? But I also see private lenders coming out there, not necessarily wanting to lend. You're seeing your lending home. You're seeing your Lima ones. You're seeing Zillow offers, have Zillow and OfferPad and they're not my market, but I know they're other markets. They've ceased operations, right?
Yep.
Well, dude, I mean, if there's no money to buy them, even if you want to buy it and there's no money to buy them, if I'm a private lender myself and I don't want to lend, well, how you can get the money to the deal, right? If no one's lending, even private lenders, which is big in our business, right?
Right.
In the secondary market, big. So it's going to create supply, in my opinion. People still need to sell for whatever reason, whether it's a death or divorce or whatever. And if there's not money to buy it, it's simple supply and demand to me. The supply increases. Right. Supply increases, there's no demand, the price has to drop.
Yeah.
So how much will it drop? Will it be 2008 levels? I don't think it's anything like that.
No.
But I do think there will be some type of reset.
Yeah. And it'll be market specific, like you said. And even inside of markets, it'll be neighborhood specific. So like you said, if you're, stuff above the median price point in your market, whatever market you're in, will slow down faster than stuff that's below the median price point, just because, there still will be first time homeowners buying houses, and they can't go downstream too far. So it just depends on the market, right?
Exactly. It's going to depend on the market and what loans are available and different things like that.
Yep. So what's Joe, you've been doing this a long time. What's some wisdom you can share with people? You and I have a lot of common friends. You're in our Investor Fuel Mastermind. There's a lot of young bucks in there that are aspire to be more like Joe and accumulate rentals and stuff like that? What's some advice you can give to people that are active investors that want to keep more, but maybe they're not keeping as many as they like? Or what's some kind of wisdom you can share with people that are in that situation?
Well, they better keep more. Otherwise, 20 years is going to get behind you and you're still going to be out there hustling, trying to figure out what the next hottest thing is, whether it's a lead Sherpa or Asana or some damn software you got to use to run your business. This business is it's a lifestyle business. It's about freedom and a passion for the business and really cash flow. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And you better figure out a way, whether it's cash flowing rentals or doing joint venture agreements or some way to put yourself in a position, education business, some way to make it somewhat passive so you're not having to constantly recreate all the time.
Yeah. 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 Whether you're rehabbing or wholesaling, a lot of people make a lot of money doing that. And I've made a lot of money doing that, but it's, you're only as good as your last deal or your next deal. Right. I guess.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's trading time for dollars ultimately. And that's one of the things that are nice about rentals for sure. So, well, Joe, you've been a member of Investor Fuel from the very beginning. You were, right there, day one. You remember that? If you remember that event, had like
Absolutely.
25, 20, maybe 20 people in a hotel room.
Sure
Now
do.
we've got, our typical room has 160, 170 people in it at its max. Any thoughts you can share on testimonial wise for Investor Fuel?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you have a great group, man. You have a great group of guys. It's a wonderful place to be. I love coming. That's why I come all the time. So here's my thoughts on a mastermind, right? 22 years in business, really didn't discover the mastermind format until about 2012. And that for me in my business was the moment everything changed, right? Was when you start masterminding. And there's 6 key principles. I'm not going to get into right now, but there are 6 key principles of a great mastermind. And one of them is the multiplier and influencer effect, right? And when you get into rooms with like-minded people, your influence, number one, and then you can multiply the effect as well, right? Through connections, through opportunities. It's the only way you're ever going to really expand your business and your mindset and your knowledge. You can't do this at a local RIA. There's a difference between a RIA and a mastermind. When you're paying to come to an event like Investor Fuel, it's top tier. And you want it that way because only the best of the best are getting in that room, right? And I know you and your team do a great job of screening people for obvious reasons because we all want to be around A players. And only A players can write the checks to come to these events. So it really has a great weeding out process. And it's been nothing but a phenomenal experience. And it has really 10x'd my business, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. It's like, I know you said you're at your summer home there, even though it's still a little chilly up there. And you're a member at the country club, right? It's kind of like joining a country club, just the relationships you can make, the knowledge, the opportunities to get around people that are maybe a level or two above you that you aspire to be more like, right?
Man, exactly. Like, and I had to do this many years ago, is take a hard look at your 10 closest friends, right? And I did notice that common thread. We were all very close in income. Not that it was bad or anything, but when I joined a mastermind like Investor Fuel, and the incomes are significantly higher than your network at home, generally speaking, and you grow. A fish grows the size of his tank, right? And that's what happens when you're in a place like Investor Fuel. By being around that, you grow, and you're naturally going to become a different person with mindset, and your income is going to increase. That's why we're here, right? And it does. It freaking works, bro. And It's exciting, man.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you. So, Joe, I know you've got a podcast now. I think you've been on my show before. We've been talking for a long time, and I think you decided to finally pull the trigger and start a podcast here recently.
I did.
How do learn more about how to connect with you or how to find your podcast or all this other stuff? Where do they go?
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, look for me on iTunes. My podcast is called Cleveland Real Estate Investor. It's specifically about Cleveland real estate, but there's a lot of great information. Being a 20-year plus vet in the real estate investment space, I still do, talk about broader things going on than just Cleveland real estate. But you find me there. Look under, like I said, Cleveland Real Estate Investor, or my name, Joe Lieber, and all the information's there, man.
We'll add a link down below for you. So yeah, I know that you said it's about Cleveland, but at the end of the day, like I know you share a lot of principles that are universal too. I mean, you can't, for the most part, there's an element of real estate if you're talking about vendors or stuff like that. That's that's local, but it's hard to talk about real estate much without being kind of universal.
Well, it is, right? Even just our little talk here about the mastermind just a few minutes ago. I mean,
Right.
that's people. How'd you do it, Joe? How'd you grow that? How'd you 10X? Well, that was things like that. It was investor fuel that brought me to the next level.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, man.
Cool, buddy. Always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too.
Stay safe up there. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
You got it, bud. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us today with my buddy Joe, who's on lockdown. He needed us to come talk to him today because he's bored out of his mind probably. As are a lot of us right now. So hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to our podcast here, go to investorfuel.com. You can find access to all of the shows we've done so far. Of course, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere where you're watching or listening to this right now. You can find us. I'd love it if you subscribe and give us a positive review if you got some good value today. Till then, have a great week. We'll see you on the next show. Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.